when life crushes you, when the world laughs at your pain, when people whisper that you'll never make it. That is the exact moment champions are created, not when things are easy, not when the sun is shining, but when your heart is heavy and your back is against the wall. The truth is, most people quit. They surrender to excuses, they drown in distractions, and they waste their potential on comfort. But successful people are not like everyone else. They are forged by fire. They move with a relentless mindset that refuses to break. They don't ask for sympathy. They don't beg for mercy. They rise every single time they are knocked down. If you want success, you have to study not only what the strong do, but also what they never allow themselves to do, because it is the never that defines them. They never betray their discipline, never tolerate weakness, never let fear dictate their path. Success is not an accident. It is a code, a way of life. And those who follow it will rise, while the rest will keep wondering why their dreams never came true. Excuses are the chains that bind the weak and keep them trapped in mediocrity. Every time a person utters an excuse, they are not only justifying failure, they are declaring to the world that they accept defeat before the battle has even begun. Successful people understand this truth deep within their core. Excuses are poison. They will never touch them, never feed their minds with them, never allow them to become part of their identity. They know that life is brutally unfair, that obstacles will always stand in their way, and that circumstances will often seem impossible. But they also know that excuses don't change outcomes. You can spend your entire life explaining why you couldn't, or you can shut your mouth and prove that you could. The world doesn't reward explanations. It rewards results. Those who succeed don't spend time crying about what went wrong or who betrayed them. They don't sit around pointing fingers at their parents, their teachers, the government, or fate. They carry the burden on their own shoulders and declare, if it is to be, it's up to me. That mentality is what separates a lion from the sheep. Excuses give comfort for a moment, but they steal victory for a lifetime. People who live in excuses convince themselves that they are powerless. They tell themselves stories about bad luck, lack of opportunity, or unfair treatment. And while they are busy speaking those words, someone else is grinding, someone else is sacrificing, someone else is refusing to stop until they win. That's why the gap between winners and losers keeps growing, because one side chooses responsibility while the other side clings to excuses. Think about it. Every single successful person you admire has faced unimaginable hardships. Some grew up in poverty. Some battled sickness. Some had nobody believe in them. Some were laughed at, rejected, and doubted. But instead of saying, I can't, they said, I must. Instead of whining about why life wasn't fair, they used the unfairness as fuel. That's why successful people look unshakable, because they've trained themselves to take every hit, every setback, every injustice and turn it into power. Excuses rob you of that power. Excuses hand your life over to circumstance. When you say, I didn't have the time, what you're really saying is, I didn't prioritize my dream. When you say, I wasn't given the chance, what you're really saying is, I wasn't willing to create my own chance. Excuses are a shield for the weak, but they also become a cage. You can't break out until you throw them away. Successful people cut excuses out of their vocabulary. They treat them like a disease. They understand that accountability is the foundation of growth. If they fail, they admit it. If they fall short, they own it. And because they own it, they can change it. Responsibility is power. When you tell yourself that everything is in your hands, suddenly nothing is impossible. That's the mindset that builds empires, the mindset that wins wars, the mindset that turns average people into legends. While everyone else is busy explaining why they couldn't, successful people are proving why they did. It's not about perfection. Every human being stumbles. Every human being feels tired, lost, or broken at some point. But the difference is in the response. The unsuccessful cry, complain, and justify why they didn't push harder. The successful acknowledge the pain, wipe their face, and say, I'll do better tomorrow. Excuses give people a reason to stop. Discipline gives people a reason to continue. If you want to climb to the top, you must erase excuses from your life completely. Stop saying you don't have enough time. Everyone has the same 24 hours. Stop saying you don't have resources. Greatness has always been built by people who started with nothing. Stop saying you don't feel ready. You'll never feel ready, and waiting will only waste your life. The moment you kill excuses, you kill weakness. You strip away the soft voice that tells you it's okay to quit, it's okay to settle, it's okay to play small. Excuses will always whisper in your ear, trying to comfort you in failure, but successful people never listen. They know that comfort is the enemy of greatness. They don't need sympathy, they don't need validation, and they don't need a story that makes them feel better about losing. They need victory. And victory only comes to those who refuse to excuse themselves from the work it demands. So when life tests you, remember this truth: excuses or results. You can't have both. Every excuse you hold on to will bury your potential one layer deeper until one day you look back and realize you wasted your entire life convincing yourself why you couldn't instead of proving to yourself that you could. Successful people never make excuses because they love their future too much to betray it with lies. They understand that excuses may comfort the weak, but they destroy the strong, and the strong never allow themselves to be destroyed. They rise, they fight, they win. Failure is the most misunderstood force in life. Most people see failure as the end, as the proof that they are not good enough, as the confirmation that their dreams were never meant for them. That is why they run from it, hide from it, and build their lives in a cage of safety where failure cannot reach them. But what they do not realize is that this very fear of failure guarantees that they will never taste success. Successful people know something different. Failure is not the end, it is the beginning. It is not the proof that you cannot, but the evidence that you tried. They understand that failure is a teacher far greater than any mentor, any book, or any lecture, because failure is raw, brutal, and unforgettable. Every mistake etches wisdom into the mind, every setback sharpens resilience, and every loss strengthens the hunger for victory. That is why successful people never fear failure. They use it. When others are paralyzed by the thought of embarrassment, rejection, or loss, the successful embrace it as fuel. They know that every failure carries the seed of growth. Losing teaches you how to win. Pain teaches you how to endure. Rejection teaches you how to stand alone until the world is forced to respect you. The weak fear failure because they tie their self-worth to outcomes. They think, if I fail, I am nothing. The strong know better. They see failure as information, not identity. Failing does not define them, it refines them. That is why they move forward boldly, take risks others wouldn't dare, and break through barriers that others never even approach. Fear chains the average. Courage frees the exceptional. Think of every great story of success. Behind every breakthrough lies a mountain of failure. The athlete who stands on the podium has lost more games than most people have ever played. The business giant who built an empire once saw his ideas laughed at, rejected, and bankrupted. The artist whose name shines forever was once ignored, doubted, and rejected by the very people who now celebrate them. But they refuse to let failure crush them. They refuse to let fear dictate their destiny. They took each failure, studied it, learned from it, and rose again, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. That is the formula of success. Those who fear failure spend their lives hiding from opportunities. They play it safe, always waiting for the perfect moment, always searching for guarantees. But the truth is, there are no guarantees. Life will always carry risk. The successful understand this and run toward it. They know that failure is temporary, but regret is forever. To live in fear is to live half dead, always wondering what could have been, always envying those who dared. Fear of failure is the most expensive price you will ever pay, because it robs you not just of success, but of your soul. It keeps you trapped in comfort, which is the slowest form of death. Successful people use failure like a weapon. They analyze it, they dissect it, they build strategies from it. Every fall gives them direction. Every setback is a compass pointing to what must be improved. They take the sting of failure and turn it into fire. Where others quit, they adapt. Where others cry, they build. Where others see the end, they see the next step. And because of this, they evolve faster than everyone else. They transform failure into growth, growth into strength, and strength into victory. That is why they appear fearless. Not because they never fail, but because they fail more often than anyone else and have learned to master it. If you want success, you must destroy the fear of failure within you. Stop worrying about what people will think if you fall. Their opinions don't build your life, you do. Stop waiting for certainty. Nothing in life is certain except that if you never try, you will never win. Stop treating failure like a monster hiding in the shadows. It is not here to destroy you. It is here to sharpen you, to prepare you, to mold you into the version of yourself capable of carrying success without collapsing under its weight. The more you fail, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more unstoppable you become. Failure is not the enemy. Fear is. And successful people never allow fear to control them. They walk into the storm knowing they may fall, knowing they may bleed, but also knowing that every fall, every bruise, every scar is a step closer to greatness. They would rather fall 1,000 times chasing their dream than live one more day chained by fear. And that is why they rise above the rest. Because they don't just endure failure, they weaponize it. They take the very thing that scares the world and use it as the hammer that builds their destiny. That is the secret. That is the mindset. Successful people never fear failure. They use it. And until you adopt the same, you will always live in the shadow of those who dared when you hesitated. Failure is not the end. It is not the finish line. It is not the stamp that says you were never good enough. Failure is simply feedback, a mirror that reflects where you stand and what must change. The weak look at failure and see death. The strong look at failure and see life. That's why successful people never fear failure. They use it. They understand that failure is inevitable, that it cannot be avoided if you are chasing something bigger than yourself. But they also know that fear of failure kills more dreams than failure itself ever could. People freeze, they hesitate, they never start, because in their minds, the possibility of failing feels worse than the certainty of staying stuck. Successful people think differently. They would rather fail 1,000 times chasing greatness than live a single day suffocating in regret. The truth is that failure is the greatest teacher. No classroom, no mentor, no book will give you the brutal lessons that failure gives you. It humbles you. It shows you your weaknesses. It rips away illusions and forces you to face reality. It toughens your spirit. Every setback has the power to sharpen your focus and strengthen your resolve. This is why the successful chase challenges that might break them, because they know even if they fall, they will rise stronger. They don't run from failure, they run toward it. They use it as fuel, as information, as the blueprint to victory. Those who fear failure confuse losing with being worthless. They think, if I fail, I am a failure. But successful people know that is a lie. Failure is not who you are, it's something you experience. It is temporary, it is a moment. And moments don't define you, choices do. When they fall, they don't cry about it, they don't hide, they don't beg for pity, they analyze, adapt, and try again. That is how every champion is born. Behind every success story lies countless moments of defeat, rejection, and humiliation. The reason you admire those people is not because they never failed, it's because they refused to let failure be the end. Think about the inventors, the leaders, the fighters, the athletes who changed history. They failed more times than the average person has ever even attempted. They were laughed at, rejected, underestimated, and mocked. Yet each failure carved them into greatness. Failure gave them the hunger that comfort could never give. It lit a fire so powerful that quitting was never an option. That is why the gap between winners and losers is so wide, because the successful use failure as a stepping stone, while the unsuccessful use it as a tombstone. Fear of failure makes people play it safe. They stay in comfort zones, never risking rejection, never risking embarrassment, never risking loss. But safety kills ambition. Safety suffocates dreams. You cannot build an extraordinary life by walking only on paths that guarantee success. Every great life demands risk, and risk always comes with failure. Successful people accept this trade. They look fear in the eye and move anyway, because they know that on the other side of failure is growth, and on the other side of growth is victory. They know regret will burn far worse than failure ever could. When failure strikes, the average person says, "This is proof I can't." The successful say, "This is proof I must." They flip the meaning of failure. They take the pain and turn it into fuel. They take rejection and turn it into hunger. They take loss and turn it into lessons. This is why they evolve faster, rise higher, and seem unshakable. It's not that they never fall, it's that they never stay down. Fear teaches the weak to stop. Failure teaches the strong to adapt. If you want to step into the ranks of the successful, you must rewire your relationship with failure. Stop fearing it. Stop avoiding it. Stop treating it like a curse. See it for what it truly is, the sharpening stone of greatness. Every time you fail, you are being shaped, refined, and molded into someone capable of more. And if you keep using it, if you keep rising, you will eventually become unstoppable. Failure is not the end. Fear is. Successful people never fear failure. They use it, they weaponize it, and they turn it into the very force that drives them to the top. And until you do the same, success will always remain just out of reach. Hardship is the ultimate filter of life. It separates those who talk from those who act, those who dream from those who achieve, those who start with excitement from those who finish with glory. The truth is simple. Everybody can smile when the sun is shining. Everybody can work when things feel easy, but when the storms come, when life hits harder than you ever imagined, that is when most people collapse. They fold, they surrender, they walk away because the road is too steep. But successful people are cut from a different cloth. They never quit when it gets hard. In fact, they expect it to get hard. They welcome the difficulty and they use it as proof that they are on the right path. Because if it were easy, everyone would do it. Hardship is the barrier that keeps mediocrity out and greatness in. The weak see difficulty as a signal to stop. They say, it's too much, I can't handle this, maybe it wasn't meant for me. But the successful see difficulty as a signal to push harder. They understand that pain is part of progress. Muscles don't grow without tearing, character doesn't grow without pressure, and dreams don't manifest without sacrifice. Quitting is easy, and that's why so many choose it. But success does not care about easy, it demands endurance. When the nights are long, when the failures pile up, when everything inside screams for comfort, that is the exact moment the successful dig deeper. They don't ask, when will this end? They tell themselves, I will not end until I win. Every champion, every leader, every visionary has walked through seasons where giving up would have been the logical choice. They faced setbacks, betrayals, losses, and crushing defeats. But what made them different is that they stayed in the fight when others left. They kept showing up when their bodies were tired and their minds were screaming to stop. That's why we call them great. Not because they had a smoother road, but because they refused to step off the rough one. The path to success is not paved with motivation and good feelings. It is paved with perseverance, with grit, with the unbreakable decision that no matter how much it hurts, no matter how long it takes, quitting will never be an option. Quitting creates a habit. Once you quit when it gets hard, you program your mind to escape every challenge. You train yourself to run whenever life tests you. That habit spreads into everything: relationships, work, health, dreams. But refusing to quit builds the opposite habit. It creates resilience. It teaches you to endure, to adapt, to grow stronger with every obstacle. And resilience is the foundation of success. That's why successful people outlast everyone else. They don't always win immediately, but they win eventually, because they're still standing when others have fallen. Life will test you. It will break your plans. It will throw you into chaos. It will strip you of comfort and force you to question yourself. Most will give up in those moments, but the successful understand that the test is the price of admission. They know that on the other side of pain lies power. On the other side of pressure lies progress. On the other side of resistance lies reward. They refuse to quit not because they enjoy the struggle, but because they know quitting guarantees failure, while persistence keeps the door of possibility open. Think about the seed buried in the ground. It pushes against the weight of the soil, against darkness, against the crushing pressure above it. If it stops pushing, it dies beneath the earth. But if it keeps going, if it refuses to quit, it breaks through the surface and reaches the light. That is life. That is success. The weight is heavy, but it is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for greatness. Quitting ends the process before the breakthrough comes. Successful people understand this deeply, and that is why they never quit when it gets hard. Every struggle is building you. Every sleepless night, every rejection, every setback, every moment of doubt is forging something within you that cannot be created in comfort. The world belongs to those who can endure what others cannot. And the truth is, you are stronger than you think. The pain you feel today is not here to destroy you. It is here to prepare you. But you will only see its purpose if you refuse to quit. So remember this: when life gets hard, when your dream feels too far, when your heart is heavy and your body is tired, you stand firm. You remind yourself why you started. You remind yourself that quitting won't make the pain disappear. It will only turn the pain into regret. Successful people never quit when it gets hard because they know difficulty is temporary, but quitting is permanent. And those who hold on, who endure the storm, who keep fighting when every part of them wants to stop, those are the ones who rise. Those are the ones who conquer. Those are the ones who build legacies that last forever. The moment you believe you know it all, you have already begun to die. Stagnation is the silent killer of potential. It creeps in the second you stop growing, the second you convince yourself that you've arrived, that you're good enough, that nothing more is required. That is where the masses live, in the illusion that life stops testing you once you achieve a little success. But the truth is, life never stops demanding more. The world keeps moving, challenges keep changing, and the game never remains the same. That is why successful people never stop learning and evolving. They know that growth is endless, that mastery is a pursuit without finish, and that the day they stop adapting is the day they get left behind. The average person hates change. They cling to what they know because it feels safe, and in that comfort they rot. They fear new ideas. They fear new skills. They fear stepping into arenas where they might look foolish, so they stay stuck, repeating the same patterns year after year, never realizing their refusal to learn is the reason their life never changes. Successful people think differently. They embrace the unknown. They chase new skills, new knowledge, new perspectives, even if it humbles them. They would rather be uncomfortable and grow than be comfortable and decay. Learning is not just about books or classrooms. It's about awareness. The successful study their failures, analyze their victories, and extract wisdom from every situation. They treat life like a constant teacher. When they fall, they ask, "What did this teach me?" When they win, they ask, "How can I repeat this?" This hunger to learn keeps them sharp while others grow dull. They never see themselves as finished products. They see themselves as works in progress, constantly refining, constantly evolving. That is why they adapt to changing times, overcome unexpected challenges, and rise above competition. Think about evolution in nature. The species that survive are not the strongest, not the fastest, but the ones that adapt. The same is true in life. The world changes. Technology shifts, industries transform, people's values evolve. Those who refuse to grow get crushed by the tide. But those who evolve, who constantly upgrade their mindset and skill set, ride the wave to new heights. Success is not a destination. It is an ongoing transformation. The successful know they must become more every year, every month, every day. They don't just want success, they want sustainability. They don't just want to win once, they want to keep winning, and that requires evolution. Learning also demands humility. To keep growing, you must accept that you don't know everything, that someone out there knows something you need. Average people let pride stop them from learning. They don't ask questions because they don't want to look weak. They don't study others because they feel threatened by those who know more. But the successful put ego aside. They are students before they are masters. They learn from mentors, from competitors, from critics, even from enemies. They absorb information from every source and turn it into fuel for their own journey. That's why they never run out of tools, never run out of strategies, never run out of ways to win. Evolution also means reinventing yourself. The person you are today is not enough to achieve the dreams you want tomorrow. The successful understand this truth. If they want more, they must become more. So they shed old habits, upgrade their thinking, and outgrow their past selves again and again. They do not cling to outdated identities. They don't say, "This is just who I am." No, they declare, "This is who I must become." And with every reinvention, they unlock new levels of success that others cannot even imagine. The ones who stop learning become trapped in yesterday's victories. They talk about what they used to do, who they used to be, the glory they once had. But while they live in the past, the learners keep building the future. That's why the gap grows wider and wider, because one side keeps moving forward, while the other clings to a moment that will never return. So you must ask yourself, are you evolving or are you decaying? Are you hungry to learn or satisfied with less? Because life doesn't stand still. You are either growing or shrinking, moving forward or falling behind. Successful people never stop learning and evolving because they know survival is not enough. They want domination. They want to stay ahead, to stay sharp, to stay relevant. They understand that their potential has no ceiling, that there is always another level, and that the pursuit of that next level is what keeps them alive. The truth is, the most dangerous place you can be is comfortable. Comfort will convince you that you've arrived, that nothing more is needed. But comfort is a lie. The second you stop learning, you start dying. That is why the strong keep their minds sharp, their skills sharp, their hunger alive. They know the world belongs to those who evolve, and those who refuse will always be left behind. Successful people never stop learning and evolving because they refuse to become yesterday's news when tomorrow still belongs to them. In the end, success is not about luck, chance, or even talent. It is about choices. The choices to rise when you feel broken, to move forward when your legs shake, to silence excuses, to face failure without fear, and to keep learning, growing, and evolving no matter how many times life tests you. Most people will quit. Most will drown in distractions. Most will give their power away to fear, to weakness, to comfort, but not you. Not if you decide today to become unshakable. The truth is simple. The world does not remember those who almost tried, who almost made it, who almost gave everything. The world remembers those who refused to break, those who endured the storm, those who lived with fire in their eyes and an unshakable will in their heart. You were not born to live small. You were not born to hide in the shadows of fear. You were born to rise, to conquer, to leave a mark so deep that history itself cannot ignore you. And the only way to do that is to live with discipline, courage, and relentless drive. Never excuse, never quit, never fear. Win because you were meant to.